Welcome everyone to CADAF panel, Millennial Culture and Collecting in the Digital Age. I am Giulia Archetti and I'm part of the CADAF team. And welcome and thank you to our speakers today, Karen Levy and Aimie Ferry-Sauvaire of Aika, and our CEO, Elena.
Thank
Hello.
you, Giulia.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
No?
So I'm going to pass
Yes.
it on to Elena now that she has a first question for you, Karen and Aimie, about millennials.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us today. Great to see you. And thank you for partnering with us on this edition of CADAF. We love your booth. So my first question about millennials, if you think that this phenomenon of millennial culture actually exists, and kind of a follow-up question on that, if there is a difference you feel within the geographic location of the millennials, whether they live in Asia or in Europe, since you have very good experience with both, perhaps you could share.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question, and actually we and with Karen we also lived in Asia, and so definitely we see there is of course strong common points in the millennials in their behaviors and the way they consume, the way they interact with the social network, even though they are different in different parts of the world. But there are also some differences, and I will say that digital and the relation they have to digital is one part that I would notice. And for example, in Asia, millennials are much more into technology and digital, and it first comes with, you know, they got used to e-business and e-retail much before us. So they have a very, very strong attach, let's say, to digital and online. And we see it also for the gaming industry and the VR. And we work with digital artists and VR artists. And we see that, for example, I give you a very easy example. In France, a lot of time we meet people and we make them discover some artists in VR, and it's the first time they put VR headset. And they are millennials, but they are not so much into this this culture. And in Asia, I think this is much stronger. They play video games; they are much more used to it.
Yeah, on what Aimie said, I think we also more and more, and this has been a trend for the millennials going to see art, is this notion of experience and the notion also of entertainment and seeing art together. And I think for millennials in general, now the question is going to be an art, something that is going to be a memory for them? Is it going to be like a photograph, of course, on social media, photos, you know, on social media? I think this has all changed also in the art, and that's why we're also in the art industry, because of more and more this idea of the millennials enjoying different type of art.
Got it. So you feel like social playing a really big part in their and their behavior online in particular?
Yeah, I think now really it's a question of the experience of sharing art as well with friends.
Right.
Also the idea of very powerful images or art for them. I feel like when we see, and it's always interesting when we see an art fair, especially like even Art Basel, you know, you feel that people always post the same picture, and I think it's because they want to see art and they want to collect art, that are close to their generation, and especially with CADAF as well. They are also really into this digital trends. The other art fairs, they have the physical art and the digital, but with what we see from now, they are more and more into only digital, almost. And I think it's a next generation also of artists from the millennials that are creating new type of art, a new medium, and I think more and more with our clients, you know, we need to incorporate, and other industries, we need to incorporate this type of art, and a great selection at CADAF, obviously, that we have. So it's really interesting, and I think we are at the beginning of it.
Great. And for those of our viewers who haven't seen the Happy Virtual Hour with you a couple of weeks ago, maybe you can tell us a little bit about Aika and how you work with different kinds of clients, including millennial clients.
Yeah, of course. We created Aika with Karen about 1 year ago. And we decided to create this platform of consulting, integrating art into strategies. And our strong pillars are also digital and Asia. Why digital? Because we think it's a very powerful tool. And also combined with art, you create experiences and immersive experiences, and you can really carry very strong messages. And the second pillar is also Asia, because as we say, we share a great experience in Asia, and of course we have a beginning, because it's a very deep topic, but we have a beginning of an understanding of the Chinese consumers and the millennials, and how they interact with art, how they interact with brands. And so with Aika, we create projects and synergies between the art world and other industry, and we always try to bridge Asia with Europe. And I think that coming back on the millennial culture, I think that they are, of course, the next generation of art, even collectors. And what is very fabulous is that they understand very well how digital art and new media can be, a real artwork can be collected, because they are born with this. And some people that are more into traditional art, they will have more difficulty to understand, and how can a video be art? How can you watch a piece of art with a headset or with a mask? And I think that also from in the luxury industry or in fashion and these industries, they understood very well. And now I don't know if you saw, but the brands like Louis Vuitton, they create like skins and characters for the video game industry to launch their product. So this is really, it's a strong message, and I think it's really a cross of art, digital, and luxury. So it's a synergy that is very powerful, and it's changing very fast.
Yeah, I think with gaming especially, it's very important. One of the goals for even CADAF Online was to make the experience a little bit gaming-like, interactive. Yeah. So popping the bubbles or following all the people who are in the fair one after another. So I really feel that's very important. I'm wondering,
No, I wanted to jump in and just ask you a question, because you said Definitely, I think you notice the difference. Millennials are interested in the experience, not just passively looking at maybe an artwork, but actually be immersed in it. And that Asia they came a little bit before us because they were more used to technology. But do you see also a difference in the Asian millennials, so sort of a younger generation, in actually purchasing works? Because I've never worked in Asia, for example, or I've worked with businesses that worked in Asia, but especially in the younger generation, it felt to me that the step into becoming collectors, it was still a little bit far away. And I was wondering what you thought about it, if you agreed or maybe you had a different experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's incredible what's happening in Asia, and we're also trying to make this bridge with our project, our platform, to bring this idea of more digital and promoting both cultures together. I think that we've seen, I mean, Aimie and I had an experience in China. We went there to work back in 2009, and it was the beginning of extremely important digital platform. And we saw that the art was more and more relayed on this platform, coming with also the DSL collection. We saw the importance of the Asian millennials and the next generation coming to the art fairs, watching and bidding in the auctions. I mean, Asia also a culture of being very proactive in the arts. And it's not a coincidence that the biggest auction houses now develop more and more their online tools over there, and they make partnership together. I think for Asia, what we see is, as the luxury sector is extremely strong and booming online with the sales, more and more the consumers in Asia will purchase art. That's definitely a fact, because they have this in their culture more than us, which is that we can say, and also because the information goes very, very, very fast. They attach the same idea of the digital art for them, for the artist, and the artist also created new media works in Asia, and also in Chinese contemporary art, even earlier than us in our Western society. They've always kind of been on this new media, and I think it is important for us, as we see also with CADAF, that you implement more and more and give access to this millennial of digital art, on promoting also the artist on the digital, because this will happen very soon over there.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's an idea. I was also wondering, maybe touching upon the topic of COVID-19, that hasn't been easy, I think, for everyone, but perhaps for millennials as well. And even though maybe they're a little bit more used in spending more time online than older generation, but still all of this online and total lack of the personal interaction is probably hard for them and for us. I think we're millennials, kind of. I was trying to see where are the ends. I think even I am a millennial.
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, but if I'm a millennial, it's still not clear to me. I mean, I can say when I was born, but if I'm a millennial, then I definitely don't fit into the more technological side of millennials, because I feel like I'm learning continuously, like catching up with technology. I feel like I'm behind, basically.
We're all millennials.
Yeah,
we are challenged
by the new millennials, and that's why we also, you know, that's why I think now we have more and more brands and corporates that, you know, are interested in capturing this generation, because of course they are going to be the ones to buy the luxury goods, but also the art. So you need to have a clear strategy on how you can work with them and how you can attract them, because they definitely have so many like different ideas of the purchase they want to do, you know, in different sectors. But,
and I think, Julia, also to come back on the difference of the millennials in Asia, is that of course they suddenly recently access to a lot of money, and so they are buying luxury, they are buying cosmetics, cars, and everything. So of course art is also in their radar. And what we see also is that they are more and more knowledgeable, because of course in the beginning, of course you buy like international artists that are very famous, and you can also, we had some friends like gallerists in Asia, they tell you they might just come in and buy 1 million or 2 million euro work, because they saw it on social network and it's famous artists. But now, of course, they are progressively getting more and more interested and knowledgeable. And I think also they start also to turn to their Chinese artists, because the first thing, it's like actually in luxury goods, in the beginning you buy international because you want to acquire what is the symbol of the Western culture. But now they are also very interested into Chinese art that is so rich. And of course also the millennials themselves are artists, using exploring the new media as a means of expressing their self, and expressing a lot about their view on the society and the evolution of the consumption. And this is a topic in their work. And that's also, if you explore in the DSL collection, the society and the changes and the difference between the culture is a very present topic.
And also on what Aimie was saying, and that's what I think we also realize, all of us as the art ecosystem, is now I would say the millennials, they also are driven by this new concept of sustainability, empathy. You know, they want to connect with objects and with brands that are also going to be driven by this new criteria of success, almost, you know. And that's why I think also to have art fairs like CADAF online, accessible anywhere and everywhere to everyone, is extremely important, because people can refer to it. And you were a pioneer on this, Elena, like us with DSL collection at some point. So it is important, I think.
Yeah, and it's been a really interesting experience seeing. Well, so a lot of people are asking us, for example, why are we only doing it for 4 days? Because it's really hard to comprehend, I guess, all this hard work, and it's over in 4 days. But one of the ideas was to bring a lot of excitement for. So we have a lot of visitors and a lot of galleries and artists, and everybody is very excited about it, as if it's a live event and as if it's a live fair. So having it very specific in time, I think, was very important. But in general, I do agree with you, Karen. I think that it should be available everywhere, from everywhere. So online, but ideally all the time too. So one of our goals is actually to make it available year round, with just very exciting events that would bring different groups of people there in one place at certain times. But yeah, that's the goal, and I hope that's the way to go.
Hopefully, yeah. And with Aika, it's the same. You know, we feel there is. It's not possible today that that the institutions, you know, even they didn't have their digital space. I mean, it's going slowly on this, but we are really trying to help also the institution or people we are partnering with to work on this aspect.
Yeah. And actually, we're in contact with a lot of institutions, because today, for example, museums, they have this need to reinvent a bit the experience, but the on-site experience already is important. And then, of course, the experience on online. But even on site now, museums, they are willing to propose some digital or virtual experience to attract these millennials that are a bit going away from the classic way to visit museum. And we were talking last week with our tech partner, and they say, you know, what is very important in gaming, when you develop a program for a museum under the form of a gaming, they say you need to be interactive. And why? It's because when you make someone interact, you give and play, the purpose is to give a feeling of achievement. You're proud of yourself, you played, you built something, you created something. And this feeling of achievement is what gives and makes the experience very strong and very memorable. It stays into you because it gives you some kind of a satisfaction that is much stronger than just looking at something, being passive. And I think that this new generation and the millennials, they need to. We're in a bit in a tough period. Everyone is going a bit. We don't know exactly what will be the world tomorrow, and there is this feeling of a bit insecurity. And when you interact and play, even if it's in a virtual world, you get this feeling of accomplishment.
Yes, indeed. Indeed, this sense of, and I think that even though maybe this sense of accomplishment was important for the previous generations as well, now as the speed increases for everything, you kind of need to reward the user faster than at any other period of time. So people just expect everything, and millennials, I guess, as this group, and I guess everything needs to happen immediately.
Yes, and they have I think they learned a very different way to approach something. So whereas for older generation, a sense of accomplishment, or it was enough to maybe go to a museum and just look at the works. Now, if we can actually combine the digital experience with the physical experience, you know, and bring perhaps millennials that would not go to a museum anymore, but would rather sift through artworks online, that's really, I think, what we can look at. And I think what we're all trying to do is maybe to combine also the two worlds that can coexist, but bring the millennials over to experiencing museums or, you know, art in a different way, effectively through the digital technology.
Approach are very complementary, and they bring value one to each other. And for example, recently in Paris, there was in the Museum of the Louvre, there was an experience in VR with showing La Joconde and the behind the scene and everything. And of course, I think this is an invitation, because you see it in virtual reality. You're in the world of Da Vinci, and after, actually, you really want to see the real painting, and you go there and you see it with a fresh eye. So it's an example to show that it's not that you leave something in virtual and that then you're disconnected. It's something that is giving you just a different aspect and a different feeling, but that is very complementary to to the physical experience.
I agree.
Excellent.
Thank you for all of your insights. I mean, this was great. We would love to continue to sort of chat about it, but so at the next CADAF, we will continue and see how, you know, how was the development of the millennial culture, for example, and if it's continuing to develop in the digital sphere. That would be nice.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Julia and Elena, and we look forward for the next editions as well. And it was a very, very good edition of CADAF.
And it's not.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's great to hear.
Thank you.
And hopefully in Paris soon as well.
Yes, exactly. Well, we can combine the digital and the physical.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
both together.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.